Yo, guys. Today, we pretty much going to be doing the show to Memory Kill Check. Basically, what this going to be about the Fannie Willis case. Basically, how she scammed Fulton County. So let's get into it, guys. Let's go.
In 2014, Fulton County District Attorney Paul Howard wrote this letter to Mayor Kasim Reed asking to increase his prosecutor's salary. It kicked off a series of exchanges and crime-fighting plans that ended with the city of Atlanta granting two 100 and $25,000 checks to Howard's DA's office during the next 3 years.
Not only the arrest information.
According to this letter written after the first check arrived, Howard told Mayor Reed the money would be administered by a nonprofit entity run by the district attorney's office entitled People Partnering for Progress, or PPP. PPP's records indicate Howard used a minimum of $140,000 of the grant money to supplement his salary. Howard, in a written statement, said the rest of the money went to crime-fighting programs like battling repeat criminal offenders. When the salary arrangement was first reported by the AJC and WSB, the State Ethics Department and the GBI launched an investigation.
There has been no discussion about it on council, and I was totally unaware.
City
1978. We were the hottest pleasure palace in Miami. The cocaine wars stopped at our entrance. Enjoy your stay.
Let's play Find the...
City Council President Felicia Moore was a council member when the salary boost took place. She went back to check legislation and could find no sign of the money being approved by the Atlanta City Council.
I went to search because I wanted to know, well, maybe I had voted for something that I didn't remember.
Then as we researched the subject, we asked Council President Moore to go inside the clerk's office for us and look for amendments to the 2014 budget. And she did, and found this. Buried deep in the bowels of the city clerk's office was this document, an amendment to the police budget offered by then Councilman C.T. Martin. It spells out $125,000 for CERT funds, that's Citizens Emergency Response Team. It was voted on by the council and passed 14-0.
What would you have voted if you knew that some of that money was going to supplement the salary of the DA?
I would have voted no for sure, and I think many other members would have voted no as well.
PPP's tax records show Howard increased his salary through the nonprofit by $50,000 the first year and $20,000 the next year after getting that check. The city cut another check to Howard's office in 2017, again, $125,000. According to his nonprofit, he was paid an additional $70,000 in salary out of that money.
You surprised by this now that you've seen it?
I am surprised by it. It really kind of bothers you because as an elected official, and particularly me, I try to be as meticulous as I can in what I approve and disapprove. I certainly don't like having approval of something that...
Was this who Fannie Willis trained by?
That is not how it's presented.
Dale Russell, Fox 5.
Has the fanny pack turned? Hey guys, it's your girl Melanie, and what you just saw was Fannie Willis's her predecessor, Paul Howard, who was embroiled in a lot of scandals himself. He had a sexual harassment lawsuit. You saw just what happened and how he just was skimming money in order to pay himself, to enrich himself. And this seems to be the ordinary practice that is going on in the district attorney's office there in Fulton County. What you're about to see is how this ties into today, and how Fulton County, how DA Willis, basically how she is doing the same type of practice, and how she used the Trump case, how she lied to committees, how she scammed in order to get money to pay her lover, Nathan Wade, and how Ashley Merchant, what she has right now, I've brought to you. If you guys haven't seen it, I'll try to remember to link it below. If you have not seen it, I read out her actual lawsuit for open records request, which she mentioned in this, she's going to mention in here, where she's trying to get these records on how things were paid, where the money came from, what work was done, all of these things that Fannie Willis's office has refused to provide. Not only refused to provide, they say they don't even keep records of it. So, which is illegal. It goes against the law there in Georgia. So it violates every statute, and it violates, the open records request. And just for her not to keep records, that's a whole nother layer of criminality that is happening there. So as you hear what she has to say, compare and contrast how she used the same type of practice where they ask for money for one thing, but then they just use it for whatever they want, even if it is to pay themselves or enrich themselves. So here we go.
In 1978, we were the hottest pleasure palace in Miami. The cocaine war stopped at our entrance. Enjoy your stay.
Let's play Find the DEA agent at the bar.
Your brother's the biggest trafficker in Miami.
We went our separate ways.
I'm gonna need you to reestablish your connection.
You're gonna have to prove something.
100 would be a fair example, or a fair number based on, just my knowledge of it. But there's quite a few. And, if you had a certain amount of money that, they spend several $1 million on these special prosecutors, that could be spent on a lot more assistant district attorneys.
Do you know the process in Fulton County on how you approve the budget for the DA's office? Is that something controlled by the county, or does the DA have total discretion?
It's controlled by the county. And I do know, I actually went back and watched a lot of budget meetings. They have their budget meetings online. I read a lot of the transcripts. And so it's very interesting. It's kind of a long answer though. Depending on who you are in Fulton County, depends on how your budget is approved. So for example, the county attorney, if they want to hire special counsel, okay, and pay them hourly, like in this case, they go and they get that approved at the county level. They actually appear in front of the county board of commissioners and say, we need to hire this person at this rate. And they approve the rate. They monitor the bills. They do all of that stuff. So that's what happens at the county attorney's office.
Okay, the county attorney represents the county, is not prosecuting criminals like the DA does.
Correct. It's civil. So the county attorney does all civil things. In this case, they actually did end up representing the DA in some of the open records issues, which is a whole other issue. So the county attorney, the civil body, they actually go and get county approval from the board of commissioners. And there's actually a resolution. So I think I attached as an example in one of my briefs, a copy of a resolution just to give as an example. I'm pretty sure I did. It's very transparent. They get it approved. Yeah, here it is. It's called a resolution. And it's a resolution authorizing funding for additional personnel. And basically they go and they say, we need this for this project. We need this budgetary item, and it's approved. It comes out of their budget though. So they're not going and asking for more money for the county attorney's budget. They're just asking to use the county money that they've already been allotted for this special counsel. The district attorney has taken a different position. And I was surprised. So I watched hundreds of hours of Board of County Commissioners meetings just to make sure that I wasn't missing anything, that she never went and asked for approval for any of these special prosecutors.
Our budget is granted through the Fulton County.
It is.
It's part of its budget.
It is. These special prosecutors have been paid a couple different ways. They were paid with state seizure money. So the first around $100,000 of Mr. Wade's funding came from state seizure money. It appeared from looking at the budgets for the state seizure that that fund ran out. So then it started coming from the general fund. But it was money that, so Miss Willis had a budget right around the time that she hired Mr. Wade and these other special prosecutors. She went and asked for more money for a backlog. And so she was given extra money, and that money's been renewed since. It was given to her to hire 55 additional personnel, and it's actually in the resolution. She went in front of the Board of County Commissioners and asked for it.
When was that? Do you know?
That was, I do actually, because I attached it to my brief. So I know the dates of things. September 15th, 2021 is when she presented her PowerPoint to the Fulton County Board of County Commissioners. And she gave a lot of statistics about all the unindicted homicides. It was mainly about homicides. It is, there was some about sexual offenses, but it was almost all about homicides. She said that, why am I here? The great trifecta: crime is on the rise, historic mismanagement, and then the COVID backlog. And so she asked for quite a bit of money to hire additional personnel. It was, I can tell you, that year it was $780,000.
That's in the fall of 2021, just before this special green order was found.
Yes. So that happened. She was awarded that money September 15th, 2021. And she actually did get the resolution and the process that you would normally expect.
How much was that addition or increase to her budget?
Not to exceed $5 million.
Wow.
So she was awarded for the end of 2021, which this is September 15th. She was awarded for September until December 31st, $780,000. It said, and then the next year, not to exceed up to $5 million.
So hang on for 1 minute. My vice chairman here, Chairman Dolezal, is way more high-tech oriented than I am.
Okay.
He has downloaded some of your documents that you produced to us that I had asked him to have available so we could see them here. And I think you have produced to us this PowerPoint presentation that Ms. Willis made to the County Commission in September of 21 to allegedly fund a backlog of murder cases, et cetera.
Yes, that would be Exhibit A to that motion. Yes, that's it.
And is that what we have on the screen here? Let's see if we can flip this right.
It is.
Yeah. So this is part of her PowerPoint presentation for additional funding over and above her previously appropriated budget from the county.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. So what were the county procedures for approval of funding for, additional outside counsel, or in this case, it sounded like she was going to hire 55 people in-house to help with the backlog. But does the county have guidelines or rules or regulations as to how you get funding approved for either additional staff to work on her backlog of homicides or for special counsel to assist you?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
What are those proper procedures?
You have to get approval by the Board of County Commissioners. And the statute, so the statute that I cited originally, 15-18-20, that statute actually is the one that it says that you can hire additional personnel like this, but it has to have county approval. So, the statute says it already. When you were asking about it changing statutes, it's clear in the statute that it has to be approved by either local law or the governing authority, which would be the county in this place and in this instance. And it's very specific that it can't be paid with state funds.
Anything in that September 15th of 2021 proposal or request for funding that addressed or contemplated special counsel to pursue indictments against folks for election fraud?
No, not at all. And I watched the video. It's online. Her speech where she used the PowerPoint in the speech. There's nothing about that at all. And in fact, what was submitted was pretty specific. It was to hire 55 new employees, not contractors, employees, in November 2021 and December 2021. And I did open records based on this, asking who was hired and the dates of hire, because I wanted to be able to track that, and that was denied.
And who made that denial? The DA's office or the county?
The DA's office. And I did bring the open records lawsuit just in case you had any questions about that. So it was the county, and I can tell you when I filed it. Let me see. And we went back and forth. You know, I requested it several times, but it was Dexter Bond at the DA's office who sent a letter back and said, we don't have that. We don't have to give it to you.
He's like the chief assistant for Fonnie Willis.
He is, and he's also the one who who went to the Board of County Commissioners whenever they needed funding. So, you know, if they had some large printing, and they had a big rebranding campaign where they had a lot of money that was spent on this rebranding, like posters and things like that.
Yo, it's kind of like funny how this whole Trump case don't flip itself on top of his head. For real, for real. It's funny how she was trying to take take down Trump, but now this whole case done flipped on her doggone head. Now this whole case done flipped on her head, and now she being charged, she being investigated. This is just funny, y'all. We go ahead and play the video. This is hilarious.
Around the office, and he had to go and testify in front of the Board of County Commissioners to get that paid because they were not paying it. So he's sort of the go-between with the Board of County Commissioners. His official title is something like Chief Legal Officer or something like that. But
let me just clarify something really quickly. You see how they have this big rebranding. When we talk about the $2 million federal grant that she got, and then it was misspent on swag and travel and computer. Swag is her rebranding, her wanting her name and face on all the mugs, pins, sweatshirts, that type of thing. When we talk about the $500,000 federal grant that was misspent, and part of that was swag and travel and all that, that swag is the rebranding that she's referring to. So I hope you're tracking with that. So then they also went to the county to get even more money, in terms of to spend on the swag, but they also was misspending money on swag from other places in federal grant money, which has Fani Willis in her office in trouble federally. So, but if you're tracking this right now, this kind of goes into this procedure where she presented, why she needed this budget to hire 55 new DAs. And then that was what she was going to use it for, but that's not what it was used for. Ashley Merchant, why she has this lawsuit for the open records request. If you guys haven't seen that video, I did it yesterday. I'm going to try to remember to post it below. I know I always say that, but then I always forget. I'm going to try to remember to post that. I went through that entire lawsuit. I didn't do the exhibits. I may do the exhibits today, but we went through that and combed through everything that she asked for in the open records that she's talking about, that lawsuit she just referred to. So she wanted to see, okay, let me see the hiring. Let me see who you hired, when you hired, how the budget was spent. This is county, this is taxpayer money. Should be open to the public. They have refused to disclose anything, and even have said they don't keep records. They just have kept no records, financial records, as to how any of this money has been spent by the DA's office. And this is illegal for them to not have these records, but they keep saying they don't have these records. So now that is why Ashley Merchant yesterday was in court before the judge, where it finally had its first hearing in regards to these open records. So we can finally get to the bottom of, was this money just requested so she can pay Nathan Wade so that she can enrich herself? This goes into the case of her enriching herself by hiring Nathan Wade, her boyfriend, so that this is how they funneled the money to themselves so they can travel, and then so that he can make a certain amount of money. And because they're in a relationship, she's taking care of her man. And there's a lot of other things that are missing that it's illegal. It goes against completely what the law and the statutes are there in Georgia. So this is why the Georgia Supreme Court really needs to step in, because you can't not keep a record of this. You can't lie about what you use this money for. And then you also can't misspend this money in places where you did not that it was not supposed to go. But this is how we believe that she illegally paid Nathan Wade and how they enriched themselves, and why this Trump case is so important, and how it has been the linchpin to expose the corruption that is going on in Fulton County.
So you've gone back and reviewed all of the Fulton County Commission's minutes and records to see what requests were made and if there was a resolution granting the additional funding?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Was there ever a request for additional funding for a special prosecutor to pursue these election cases?
No, there wasn't. And I knew that before we got the district attorney's response, but subsequently we got a response from the district attorney's office that said, we didn't do it. We don't have to do it. I'm a constitutional officer. So their argument was, we don't have to comply with those statutes or those rules, because she's saying she's a constitutional officer, so she doesn't have to get county approval. She can spend her budget however she wants.
Then why would she have got the county approval for the other 55 attorneys?
So what I've surmised is that was because those were staff members, and so she went and asked for additional budgetary money. She needed a higher budget. So for those 55 people, she went and asked for more money because she didn't have enough money. And once she was awarded that, it's her position now that she can spend that money however she wants.
Doesn't have to use it for 55 new staff. She can use it for special attorney general.
Yes.
Not attorney general, but
Special.
DA.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Essentially, that is their argument in their reply briefs that they filed in court, that they have inherent authority. They don't have to comply with the county ordinances, don't have to comply with the statute.
So they don't have to comply with our state statute.
That they have, once they're awarded the budget, they can use that budget. However, I mean, how their motion, and I'm happy to send the motion. It's public record, but how their motion argued it was, if they get $5 million, they can pay that to one person if they want, as long as because the voters authorized her to do that. So the county, their position is the county authorizes a budget, and she can pretty much has inherent authority to do it. However,
Even though she specifically asked for the money to prosecute backlogged homicide cases in Atlanta.
yes.
What's your opinion on that? Think the statute or county procedures permit that?
No, I do not. And I cited several different county ordinances. So when I read the statute, when I read 15-1820, and it makes sense, it makes sense intuitively. As lawyers, when we bill, someone is reviewing our bills. I mean, that's just, that's the process. If you're in private practice, your client authorizes your bills. If you're doing public defense, which I've done public defense, I've done appointed work, the governing agency approves my bills, and they will cut them. They will regularly cut them if they're too high. And so there's always some type of budgetary authority that's reviewing everything. So I thought it was very strange that in this case there isn't one, and that there's really no oversight, because it is public money. So I know that it's an elected official, but it's still public money. And I don't live in Fulton County, so it would probably aggravate me more if I did.
So we have the code section up that you're referencing for prosecuting attorneys getting additional personnel. That's what Mr. Wade would qualify as, correct?
Yes. So under B, that's the section that authorizes the appointment of special counsel. And it says the manner and amount of compensation to be paid is fixed by either local act or by the district attorney with the approval of the county. And so that's where that's our argument that this was not appropriate expenditure because it did not have county approval.
So our state law requires if a DA is going to go seek outside counsel, I'm going to call them, that must be approved by the county commission.
Yes, without a doubt.
And there are only 3 circuits that have even utilized this procedure.
Yes.
Do you have any idea what rates of pay were approved in those other judicial districts, or, whether they went through some type of approval?
So one was $40 and one was $45, and the annual amount that they spent did not exceed $2,000.
And what did Mr. Wade receive?
He's received about $700,000 so far.
And what's he paid per hour?
$250 an hour.
Has Fulton County been given any opportunity to approve or reject those bills, or the fact that he's even higher?
No. So, and that's an interesting point. So one of the things that the district attorney argued in their motions was that they don't have to have the actual bills approved. So she is the one that approves the bills. So essentially what happens was he would submit an invoice and she would sign off on it and send it to purchasing, and then purchasing would pay for it. So their argument in their motion was that the oversight is by purchasing saying a pay, that she would be the one that reviewed the time. So Ms. Willis reviews the time and then it gets submitted to purchasing and purchasing then pays it. And so that's the oversight in her opinion. In the state's opinion, the oversight is from purchasing, but purchasing just gets a bill and pays it. They don't actually.
So overall, she just stole from taxpayers. Is that what that's what she's saying? Overall, she just stole the money. Steal the money from people. That's what it sounds like. But I'm not necessarily surprised because this is niggas. Niggas always doing shit.
Like look at it and see if the work's done.
Does Ms. Willis do that? Is she required to approve these bills submitted by the special counsel?
So the contracts indicate that the bills are submitted to her. She doesn't sign off on all of them. A lot of them were signed off on by other people in her office, purchasing people and things like that. So there's no evidence that I was able to find that she actually scrutinized these bills or reviewed them or anything like that, but she may have.
And you mentioned that attorneys that are working for state agencies or whatever, including the special assistant attorney generals, submit bills on like itemized statement on what services they've rendered.
Yes, and the attorney general has very specific guidelines on that. What you can bill for, how you have to bill, and is told to remind.
Okay, guys, so she's going to get into like the detailed billing issues that were happening with Nathan Wade. If you don't know about that, it was just a mess and how he did that. But I will be combing over that, guys. It's important that we contrast and we compare. We go back and we look at these things because at the time it was very sensationalized. We just want to hear all these things, but there's a lot of details that I know I missed and I didn't really specifically, I paid attention to it, but not the way I need to now, because we really, again, guys, if we're going to get to the bottom of it, we have got to unearth all of the corruption step by step, line by line, and it's a tedious job. So make sure you are subscribed. You're not going to miss any of my updates. I'm going to be trying to bring more clarification and color to what is happening. This is important. Why is this important? Because they tried to use this RICO trial, specifically the Trump RICO trial, to enrich themselves. And we know that they tried to say he tried to, I don't even want to say the word, took an election. But if you guys know, I have been investigating these things independently. I study different, election audits. I've been studying what's happening in this case. And it is my, belief that all of this is, it's basically a crime syndicate down there in Fulton County and even in Georgia. If you go back and see all of the corruption and the things that they've done, these officials there just lie their behinds off. And they just put out a statement and say, we've done the research, we've done this is approved, this is approved, that's approved. And you go back and look and nothing's approved and they're breaking the law. But Brad Raffensperger has broken the law. I'm going to be combing over that because, again, we're in an election year. This is important. Democracy is on the line. And everything that we've been told by mainstream media to close our eyes and just bow our heads and just believe the best and believe in the judicial system, it has all been a house of cards, a house of lies. And many of us, because we haven't had access to these things, we just go with what is said. But now we are able to get this information out there. And thank goodness that Fani Willis was dumb enough to file this lawsuit and try to get some type of clout off of Trump. And even in this YSL case with Young Thug trying to get clout with these RICO cases, I even have people have been giving me tips about why this YSL case came into play. There are accusations that she was sleeping with a member of them and that another rival rap group it's all tied into a house being broken in and then a diss song that was made. And then all of a sudden YSL, it's just, there's so many layers of corruption that are going on and it's tied to the streets. It's tied to the White House. It's just all coming together. So you're not going to miss any of my updates. But again, like I said, make sure you subscribe. And also if you can do me a favor, follow me on Facebook. The link is below. I keep getting hacked and I'm trying to rebuild it. I'm also on Rumble now trying to update that because I never know when they're going to shut the lights off. And I may have to do some special kind of shows over there that won't be censored because I know YouTube will censor me if I try to do it here. So make sure you subscribe to me on Facebook and Rumble. I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.
So honestly, I definitely agree with what she just said. It just seems like a whole entire hot mess down there. Like, it's funny. It's hilarious to me, you know what I'm saying? But that's the end of the show for today, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Oh, and last but not least, hold on. Last but not least, check out my channel. Like, comment, subscribe, and share for more updates. Then I'll see you guys later on. See you later.